I can't even believe this type of technology actually exists. This is the most immersive way to scout for photography locations that I've ever seen. So before I go on a landscape photography trip, I do a lot of research and legwork. I read ebooks, I surf the internet, I do Google image searches, I ask some of my peers and my friends where they've been and what sites I should possibly go and see. And those strategies are typically what I use to scout my locations before I get there. Now, nothing beats actually physically being on the location and scouting it. But recently I've added a new element to my strategy here for scouting photo locations, and that is the wonderful world of virtual reality. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'm going to talk about how I fully immerse myself into the locations that I'm going to go to in a virtual reality headset. Now, if you've ever walked up this path, you know exactly where I'm taking you to. And if you haven't, you're about to see one of the most amazing sights I've ever seen. And that's Delicate Arch in Moab, Utah, in Arches National Park. It's an absolutely fantastic view of the entire national park. And as we see it here, it's a nice peaceful solace that we have all to ourselves. But you may be more familiar with this place as a crowded tourist attraction that is loaded with photographers. Now we can see that when we go into the optional street view here and see all the photographers that are gathered here, and even see this in a street view type of manner. Now, some of these street views are going to be better than others. You see there was kind of a fog there. But either way, how many of us have sat here and actually seen Delicate Arch as the sun is setting, with that glorious sun as it starts to grace the sides of the cliffs and the arches there in Arches National Park? It's absolutely wonderful. And then as it transitions into our blue hour, and from our blue hour into our night sky scenes, many of us may have been lucky enough to see the Milky Way crest over top of Delicate Arch. And maybe some of us even been brave enough to get close enough to it to see just how crazy of a sight this is. Looking at the Milky Way right over top of the arch, you know, this is something that you can actually plan for when you show up on location at Delicate Arch after seeing it already in virtual reality. Let's take a step back here, see this from a little bit further of a distance, as many of the shots that we've probably seen composed of Delicate Arch with the Milky Way directly overhead. This is absolutely fantastic. Here you can frame up your shots to get exactly where you need to be at the time that you need to be there and see everything in its lifelike glory. It's absolutely gorgeous. So you see how beautiful this is. We can physically go to a location like Arches National Park, dive right in and see all the beautiful sights that we've actually seen with our own two eyes when we've been to Delicate Arch. Or maybe you haven't been there. I can tell you that that's exactly like it. It's so amazing. But how do you get to this point? Well, you have to have a virtual reality headset. I have chosen the Quest 2, the Oculus Quest 2, because of its relatively inexpensive price point. Now, my wife and I talked about this probably about 2 or 3 years ago. I remember talking to her saying, I think I could use Google Earth and a VR headset to scout photography locations. And we were talking about it, and she goes, well, that sounds like an awful lot. How much is that going to cost? I was like, well, at this point, it's like $950 or something like that, just for the headset. And I have to make sure that my computer is set up for that. And then I said, you know what? It's really not worth it just to see if it'll possibly work. But then when the Quest 2 came out, it was around $299. Extremely inexpensive tool for its ability to scout locations in Google Earth. Now, many of you wonder if I ever stop working. Yes, I do play Population 1 with my brother almost every single night, which is really cool because it connects us between Kansas City and Delaware. But back to how I got this set up to my computer. There are many tutorials out there on how to connect your Oculus Quest to your computer. So first of all, you have to have a computer that is VR ready. There are websites that you can Google and you can type in, is my computer VR ready? And you will know right off the bat if it's VR ready. If you're using a Quest like I am, you're going to need the Oculus app on your computer, and you're also going to need something called Steam VR. Now, Steam VR connects to the Oculus, and from there, in Steam VR, you can download Google Earth. So it sounds like a lot of pieces, but it's actually really simple to set up. And there are tutorials all over the internet. You can Google them to find out. So that's the skinny on what you're going to need to go to these locations in the comfort of your own home. Let me give you a little background on this. When I first put my Oculus Quest on after setting all that stuff up, which only took about 10 minutes, I put the headset on and Google Earth has this opening screen. And in the opening screen, it had actually teleported me to a random place. And this random place was a place that I've actually been to before. And it's a place that not many people would probably even go to. It's in Arches National Park, and it's on the way out way back in the backside of the park after you get past all the really cool stuff like Delicate Arch. There's this turnoff, this little pullover right before a turn, and it's got this cutout. And I remember seeing it. My friend Hudson Henry and I stopped to take a picture there. Well, when I put this headset on, it transported me right there. So when it came to getting into VR, I had all these fears and doubts that I might have purchased the wrong thing in order to do what I wanted to do. But when it teleported me to this exact location that I've been to before, I immediately was like, this is it. This is awesome. So I know what you're thinking. Is this a good scouting tool for every location out there? There are definitely some locations that are better than others, but you can still use this as a good scouting tool for many things that we look for as landscape photographers. Now, you may be familiar with this place. As I turn and look here, this is Yosemite National Park. This is a very common place to photograph as a photographer, and it's one place that if you go to Yosemite, you're never going to not stop here. And that is Tunnel View. And looking off in the distance, you can see Tunnel View just as you would if you were standing in that exact location, even to the point where you can see the trees that are going to get in your way of your shot when you're at the Tunnel View location. Now, many of you have probably been here to photograph the sunrise as it comes up over through the valley. And looking at this, you can see a really good rendering of how that sun is going to come up between the valley there and light up the valley before it even hits the side of the walls of the valley there near El Capitan. You can see what the shot is relatively going to look like once the sun does come up over the top of Half Dome in the background there. And speaking of Half Dome, let's take a little trip to what it looks like on the top of Half Dome. Looking at the top of Half Dome, if we were up there seeing everything in all the splendor of Yosemite National Park and the valley down below, this is absolutely gorgeous. We can even see what it's going to look like when we make this more of a nighttime location and where the Milky Way would possibly be if we had a clear sky standing on the top of Half Dome. Now, its sister dome, it's over on the other side, is Sentinel Dome, which is actually a little bit more accessible for most of us, as it's only about a 1-mile hike. This is an incredible spot to photograph the Yosemite Valley. And here we can actually see what a street view would look like, even though we're not in the street. We have a view of what it would look like if we were actually there in a 360-degree spin. This is absolutely phenomenal, especially because I've been to both Tunnel View and Sentinel Dome, and it's pretty darn close, if not exact, to what it looks like. Now let's take a quick little zoom down here and see if we can find the Three Brothers, which is my favorite place to photograph in the Yosemite Valley. And there they are, the Three Brothers in all of their splendor. Even here, you can get a good idea of what your shot is going to look like from the base of Three Brothers and what it might look like from another shoreline like this one right here. Absolutely incredible. I've been here, I've seen this, I've taken this exact shot, and it's pretty darn close. Let's not also forget about the view there of Cathedral Rock and also El Capitan. Wonderful. You can really get a good idea of what you're going to need to scout in order to photograph Yosemite National Park using Google Earth VR. There is one caveat that I have to point out here, and that's that in this VR representation that you're watching here, I can't actually show it to you in the way that I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it almost in a three-dimensional way. You're seeing it in a two-dimensional way because we're taking a three-dimensional thing and recording it into a video, which is making it appear two-dimensional. So what I would say to this is that it's kind of like going to a museum and looking at the sculptures. If I'm walking through the sculptures, I can walk around them. I can see all the different articulations and all the ways that the sculptor has made space around the object. But if I take a picture of it, all you see is a picture of the sculpture. So what you're seeing right now in this virtual reality representation that I'm showing you from the video that I've recorded while I'm in the VR headset is more of a two-dimensional experience for you. So the actual experience that you're going to receive when you put the headset on is incredible. You can travel around things, you can go into something, you can look up, you can see all the different angles of objects while you're navigating around inside the headset. So it's a different experience for you than it's going to be for me, and vice versa. So keep that in mind, that the two-dimensional space that you're looking at is not nearly as impressive as what it's like being patched into that VR headset. Now, aside from the fact that we can't see a perfect three-dimensional rendering of what's going on in the headset, I do want to take a look at the level of detail that we can see so that you can get an accurate depiction of what it would be like to be on this location. Now, I've been on this shoreline here of the Merced River looking at the three brothers, and this is the photograph that I took. Now, if we compare and contrast these two things, we aren't going to get an exact perfect look at what the trees might look like, but we get a pretty darn good idea of what they might look like. Actually, I probably was more about right here. I didn't really get a good snapshot of that in the headset compared to the actual image, but what I do want you to take a look at is the level of detail that is on the surface of the three brothers here. Now, for all intents and purposes, we'll call this one Michael, this one William, and this one Matthew. Those are my three sons. And I'm going to zoom in here. So let's take a look at Matthew over here. Okay, I'm going to drop the opacity of this brother here and move that in. So you can see, even with the actual photograph, the rendering that we have here from the virtual reality headset is very close. So close that I could make a pretty accurate judgment as to what my frame would look like if I stood on the shore of the Merced River and photographed the three brothers. That's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. So let me go ahead and increase this opacity. Let's take an even deeper look. Let's take a look at Matthew again here. We're going to zoom in a little bit closer here. I want you to take a look at the peak here that we see. This comes up on the mound here, and then has a little tip, and that tip rounds off and goes into the next peak. Look at this. It comes up almost with the exact same surface texture of the actual peak itself. That the shape is almost perfect, even has the tip as it goes into the next peak. Now, what I also want you to look at here is the surface texture of this brother. Let's say that that's Michael. Look at the surface texture here, how it has these undulations, and we can almost see that there's different levels and steps almost on this peak. Let's take a look at it in the VR headset rendition. Pretty darn accurate. I mean, that is pretty close. Now, it's not going to be perfect, especially because with this image that we see here, this is a cropped and zoomed in version of what I got from the headset to see if I could compare and contrast it to what I actually saw in real life. It's pretty darn close. Now, if we were to actually jump into the headset and move ourselves to the three brothers, we would be able to see a lot of the intricate surface texture that's on these peaks, and from a photography perspective, be able to see how far away these peaks are from one another and get a pretty good idea of what we're photographing beyond just standing there and photographing it. I think this is phenomenal. So you may be wondering, does this work for everything, for every environment you're going to photograph? Not necessarily. Let me take you on a little trip to the Tallgrass National Preserve in Kansas. Really flat and not a whole lot. There is the parking lot where I would park my Jeep. And if we look to this direction, that is the one-room schoolhouse that I've photographed many times that you probably have seen in some of my video tutorials. This is the exact location where I would stand in order to photograph the Milky Way over the one-room schoolhouse. But the one-room schoolhouse here is flat. It has zero depth, and it doesn't show us what it would actually look like. Which isn't really a deal breaker for us because it does give us a good rendering of what it would look like when those stars are above the one-room schoolhouse and the placement of where the Milky Way might be if we were to stand there. Now, is this accurate? Well, here is a depiction that you can see of the one-room schoolhouse that I have photographed next to this VR rendition that we have of the one-room schoolhouse with the Milky Way over it. We don't see the schoolhouse, but we can get a pretty accurate judgment of what the Milky Way might look like if it is straight vertical above the schoolhouse. Now, you may not recognize this place as soon as we land here, but this is actually Second Beach in Olympic National Park. This is the shoreline. Now, this shoreline typically has a very large sea stack where we are looking, and that way has a nice hole or archway there. We can't see very well from this depiction, but if we look into the globe of our hand in the Google Street View, we can see exactly what it would look like from somebody else's perspective. Who is this person? I have no idea. Wait, there he is. Would you look at that? And he's brought a friend with him. It's pretty cool. And what kind of camera is he using? Hey, wait a second. What is up with those tripod legs? That is interesting. But it does give us a good representation when we get these street view opportunities to see what this place might look like. As we navigate further down the coastline, there might be another street view that we can look at. So we can move forward down the coastline, and then as we lift our hand up where the globe is, we can see what these sea stacks might look like in a street view representation. Moving a little bit further down, let's see if we can see that little archway that's carved in there, and there it certainly is. Actually, I didn't even know that the tide could get so low at Second Beach that you could even go that far out to that sea stack. Pretty interesting stuff. Depends on the time of year that you're there, I guess. One of the things that I really do enjoy about the Quest, though, and how you can use it for Google Earth VR, is the opportunity to take a look around to places that you maybe have never been. I've never been to the Colosseum in Rome. Let's go ahead and take a look at what that might look like. I really like this because not only do I get to see the Colosseum in Rome, I get to see it from any angle that I want to see this from. And it is wild. It's wild seeing this. Now, it's not going to be a 100% great depiction of what the Colosseum in Rome might look like. As you can see, there's some odd kind of cutouts. It looks like it's almost made out of clay on the inside. But this is some pretty impressive technology to be able to transport yourself to a city that you've never been to before and even walk down the streets. That's impressive. Incredibly impressive. We can even see if the Milky Way is going to make its way across the Colosseum here. And sure enough, it looks like it does pretty well. Maybe not in the ability to photograph it because it's too close to maybe sunrise or something like that, but the opportunity might be there. You never know. Actually, you probably couldn't see it because there'd be way too much light pollution there, but you get the point. What if there was no light pollution? You can go anywhere in the world without light pollution. It's beautiful. One of the great benefits to having Google Earth accessible like this is the ability to type in where you might want to go and search for it. Let's say I want to go to Mount Hood in Oregon and see what it would be like at the summit of Mount Hood at sunrise. And it looks absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. There's the sun blasting its beautiful rays across. Maybe even this might be sunset looking at this, depending on how Google Earth set us up there. It doesn't show us the time. So we don't necessarily know if it's sunrise or sunset unless we know which direction we're facing, which we don't really know which direction we're facing. So you're seeing some limitations to this. One of the limitations is not necessarily knowing the direction that we're facing until we do something like add the Milky Way there, if we can even see the Milky Way there. Either way, having the ability to go to places like this and see it in a way that you've never seen it before is absolutely incredible. I never thought that we would have the capability to do this and see these types of things in the time that I am living. It's absolutely phenomenal. Now, while there are many benefits to jumping into the world of VR and looking at the world like this, it's also a downfall. We have the entire world at our disposal, and here we are looking at the Earth as it would exist in space, just above, I believe, Spade, Nebraska, for some strange odd reason, right in the middle of America. But this is the major difficult part about this. You kind of have to know exactly where you want to go. That's why typing things in and searching for them is going to be your best option. Most national parks we can search like that, but having the whole world at your disposal, if you just kind of move around randomly and try to drop a pin in and go zooming in, you're going to find yourself almost in the middle of nowhere sometimes, and it can be difficult to navigate around. So yes, this is absolutely incredible that we can visit the world in all these different places in the space of a VR headset. However, when you find yourself in the middle of nowhere because you did a random drop, it can be cumbersome. Our Earth that we live on is huge and it's gorgeous, and I'm really excited that I get to see it in this way. Once you get up and running scouting in the world of Google Earth VR for photography locations, it's incredible. I've visited places in the VR headset before I've even been there. I've been able to see the shot that I'm going to get, frame it up before I even get there to get a good idea of what that shot is going to look like at the various times of day that I might be in those locations. It does have some limitations, but its ability to take you to places that you would never see before or be able to scout them before you've ever been there far outweigh those limitations and add yet another element to my strategy of scouting landscape locations. I'm going to be going to Rocky Mountain National Park to photograph the fall color, and I've already taken the opportunity to jump into the VR world and scope out some locations that I might want to shoot before I've even been there. If you like this video, please click on this playlist to see more of my videos. I certainly hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it gave you a new perspective on how to scout for photography locations. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this. I do sincerely appreciate it.